What's up, Bifteki? So, when you solve philosophy quotes, what ends up happening in your mind? Let's find out. So, I got a list here of the top 40 philosophy quotes for 2023. Let's check them out. The journey is what brings us happiness, not the destination. Dan Millman. That just means that it's more fun to be making $2 million than to have $2 million. Boom! Bifteki. Nothing exists except atoms and empty space. Everything else is opinion. Democritus. That basically means that nobody knows anything except for I am. And the only reason I know that is because I am sitting here being right now. It could all be fake. I could be in a hallucination. I could be in a coma. I could be in a simulation. This could be the Truman Show. I could myriad of things. The only thing I know is that I am. Everything else is just an opinion because it all could be fucking fake. Who knows? In the eyes of dialectical philosophy, nothing is established for all times. Nothing is absolute or sacred. That's by Karl Marx. Jesus Christ, sorry, the thing I'm looking at is worst definition. Yeah, I don't even want to give Karl Marx credit because he's a fucking dick. In the eyes of dialectical philosophy, dialectical. Same as dialect, same as dialect. Okay, so same as dialect. In the eyes of something that is same as dialect, same as talking, dialectical. In the eyes of talking philosophy, nothing is established for all times. Nothing is absolute or sacred. That means that things will constantly change the more information you have, especially if in the eyes of dialectical philosophy, especially if it's just talk. All right? Now, that being said, Karl Marx, the douche, didn't hold anything sacred except for power dynamics of the oppressed and the oppressor, which is BS. And you may disagree with me on that, but you would be wrong. And I still love you because you're a fellow human being. Please love me back. If not, I'll pray for you or meditate or whatever you want me to do, or maybe I'll just shut the heck up. Next one by Stephen Hawking. This is going to be good. It surprises me how disinterested we are today about things like physics, space, the universe, and philosophy of our existence, our purpose, our final destination. It's a crazy world out there. Be curious. Okay, that's not philosophical at all. I mean, it's a philosophy adjacent, Dr. Hawking. May you rest in peace. God bless the dead. This quote just means be curious. It's beneficial to be curious because look at all these examples that we're not curious enough about. But then he doesn't illustrate why that's a detriment. So that's why the genius, and maybe I'm not as genius enough to understand Stephen Hawking. Please don't worry so much, because in the end, none of us have very long on this earth. Life is fleeting. Robin Williams. I think that basically means, especially coming from Robin Williams, that don't take life too seriously. The irony, of course, being he killed himself. He took life a little, well, more than a little, way too seriously. Let's go on to the next one. Rest in peace, Robin Williams, bro. I love you, dude. I really do. I loved almost everything that man has ever done. And I was, like, messed up that he, like, died, bro. I was like, dude, this is so messed up. Okay, next guy, Bertrand Russell. I would never die for my beliefs because I might be wrong. Okay, so this kind of goes into a different thing. There is no such thing as beliefs. There is, but it's, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like man-made. Okay, a belief is behaving in a way that you think something is true, but you have no idea that it's true. And fighting for it, sticking up for it as if it were true. So this quote means like, I would never die for my beliefs because I might be wrong. Okay, but you would die for something that at least I would. Okay, right? I would die for my loved ones. I would die for, if it was like to save a child or children or women even, I would sacrifice my life. I would try to live, but I would take that risk. So I would die for other humans if it was for the right reason, like if it was my morally correct way. Because I might be wrong. I would never die for my beliefs because I might be wrong. That's because beliefs are bullshit. Everything, you don't know anything. A couple quotes before. You don't actually know anything rather than I am. And simply because you are being. You don't know if you're in a simulation, someone's tricking you, you're hallucinating. I already said it. So I would never die for beliefs because I might be wrong. Yeah, because beliefs are wrong. Beliefs are not knowing. It's believing, which is different from faith, which is like, I don't know this, but I'm going to behave in a way that this might be true, but I'm going to, and I'm not saying all people who are faithful say this, they use beliefs, but for me personally, I'd be like, I don't know if I'm a Christian, right? Jesus Christ is the personal Lord and Savior, God is great, God is good. Do I know that for an absolute fact? No. And anybody who says, yes, you do, is believing and not knowing or not having faith, which is different than believing. Beliefs are what cause wars. Beliefs are what cause you to not grow. Belief puts you in a box that I believe this, and now I can't escape it. If you open your mind and you say, I actually don't know anything, then all of a sudden, I don't know, let's say, I'm a Christian, and then Muhammad comes down instead of Jesus, and he's like, dude, Christianity was wrong. Do you understand my faith? Because I had an open-mindedness to be like, I don't know for sure, but I have faith that because every time I do this, it feels so good to me in my religion or whatever, I still don't know. I hope that makes sense to people. Bertrand Russell. Bertrand sounds like some type of Brit. Love the British. Well, most of you. Some of you guys are dicks, but you secretly like love me or love Americans. You don't got to do that. And I don't like when Americans make fun of Brits either. Shout out to my homeboy, not really my homeboy, but I'm a fanboy of Lug L3WG. Shout out to him. Check out his page. He's dope. He's British, and he's fucking awesome. And he likes mending the relationship between the Americans and the Brits. Everything is energy, and that is all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. It can be no other way. This is not philosophy. This is physics. And this was said by Albert Einstein. Okay, so what this means is everything is energy, and that is all there is to it. Frequency of reality. All right, so this is kind of like law. This means that the law of attraction is an actual law of physics, which it is, but that book, The Secret, is baloney because you cannot simply sit there and think and imagine and then manifest it. You actually have to do stuff. What Albert Einstein means that it's physics is if you match a vibrational frequency, like, I'm a 5-star chef. I'm a 5-star chef. I'm a 5-star chef. And then you go to culinary school, then you get a job at a restaurant, and then you're a line cook, and then you're a sous chef at a better restaurant, and then you're a sous chef at like a Michelin restaurant, then you're a head chef at your own restaurant, or even a great restaurant. It's because you're vibrating that I am professional chef, or I am a great chef, that you'll eventually do the actions to do it. But it's not sitting there. That's why it's a law of physics, because you think, you dwell, you start doing things toward. That's why I started doing this. I've been thinking about this for years. And by a law of physics, according to Einstein, I'm finally doing shit on philosophy. God bless you, my man. God bless you. From Ludwig Wittgenstein. Ludwig Wittgenstein says, whereof one cannot speak, thereof one must be silent. So, whereof and thereof. This kind of means like when people say, if you're not a woman, you can't speak on pro-choice or pro-life. That's kind of what this means. But it also means if you don't own a gun, you can't talk about pro-gun or anti-gun. So you figure out if whatever you want. Thanks, Ludwig. All right, next one from Tony Robbins. Love that motherfucker. My philosophy is to kill the monster while it's little. The best time to handle a negative emotion is when you first begin to feel it. It's much more difficult to interrupt an emotional pattern once it's full blown. This is much less hard to figure out what it means, because he literally just plain says it, which is one of the amazing things about Tony Robbins. He doesn't speak in parables or riddles. This is a philosophy, though, so we don't have to actually interpret it. It speaks for itself. Nip it in the butt. As soon as your wife starts doing something you may not like, or something that you feel disrespect, just something you may not like, address it with her right away about how it makes you feel, instead of letting it fester till it becomes this big thing. Why do you always say that, girl? Why do you always do that? I hate when you do this. Why do you do this to me? I hate this shit. That's a Chris Rock joke I'm stealing. My bad. Okay, cool. Next one is from Neil deGrasse Tyson, who I absolutely love, but think is an imbecile, some type of shill. He's promoting weird stuff. He's not talking about physics whatsoever. You are an embarrassment, Neil deGrasse Tyson. However, I love you because you're a fellow human being, and you have the freedom to have that opinion. You do. You have the right, the freedom, and you have the freedom to share it, and I have the freedom to disagree with it, and we have the freedom to be friends if you really want, because maybe we have other interests in common. Anyways, for me, I am driven by two main philosophies. Know more today about the world than I knew yesterday, and lessen the suffering of others. You'd be surprised how far that gets you. Interesting. I am driven to my know more today about the world than I knew yesterday. That's cool, but I would say about life, because, again, the only thing you know is I am. You don't even know if I am alive, but that's the closest thing to I am. You are being, therefore you are. I am. So I'm alive. So about life, I would say, not about the world. So what it means is, if you improve the same thing that people who post videos on YouTube to help people make their YouTube channel better say, do 133 videos and each time do one thing better. Make a better thumbnail on this one. Make a better edit on this one. Make a better. That's what this means. And then and lessen the suffering of others. You can't do that. That's impossible, Neil. And that's why when you go on these rants about, I'm not going to get into it, but the reasons why I disapprove of your message and don't think you're a practicing physicist. You're a physicist. You have a degree from a corrupt institution. Congratulations. And you know more than me about cosmology, astronomy, physics, and everything else that people already have written and believe. I mean, that's it. You can't lessen the suffering of others. I mean, you will, but you can't. Do you understand what I mean? Like, if you're like trying to do good and help people and make them feel good, you have to balance the compassion with wisdom. You can't be all the way compassion, because then you come up with the overbearing mother archetype. So you will lessen people's suffering by being yourself and trying to be even trying to lessen that, but you can't. Like, you can't be, I'm going to go lessen their suffering. You can't. But you will lessen people's suffering. And you can be nice, but that doesn't lessen their suffering. That just makes them like you right now. Or that makes them feel better right now. It doesn't even make them feel better. It might even make them feel alive. So again, I think you will lessen the suffering of others if you're a positive and good person, or many other things that are just positively oriented. But I don't think that you can. I hope you understand what I mean by that. There are no limitations to the mind except those we acknowledge, by Napoleon Hill, who wrote Think and Grow Rich, I believe. There are no limitations to the mind except those we acknowledge. Right. So this means that your mind technically has no limits except for the limits that we know about. No shit! The only thing that's true here is that there's no limitation to the mind. There's no limitation to the mind is what this means. Because except those that we acknowledge. There should be a that there. I think he's missing a word. There are no limitations to the mind except those that we acknowledge, in square brackets. Yeah. Because we don't know. I already explained it. I hope you get it. This video is already going to be too long. I'm probably going to edit it. We live in the best of all. Hold on. Let's see who did this here. Gottfried Leibniz. L-E-I. Gottfried Leibniz, who was a scientist. And I forgot which one. He could have been a philosopher. He could have been like... God, it sounds so familiar. What was it? I've heard of him. We live in the best... He could have been a scientist. I don't know. He could have been like a World War II era guy. I don't know. We live in the best of all possible worlds. Wow, this is freaking hard. What does that mean? We live in the best of all possible worlds. We live in the best of all possible worlds. I would say most people don't live in the best of all possibility. Because all possible worlds means, I know what that means. All possible worlds means anything that veers from the timeline, all the different timelines that say, I'm here, I'm going, and then which timeline am I going to go with, or which probability vortex, which path I'm going to be going down, is all the possible worlds, just all the possible futures. Okay, so that's what that means. We live in the best of all the possible futures. So why would he say that? We live in the best of all possible worlds. Unless it's simple as maybe Gottfried Leibniz was an astronomer, and that's what he was, and he means we live on the best planet. Maybe as simple as that. But yeah, that's a tough one. We live in the best of all possible worlds. I don't know. I feel like most people actually live in the worst possible world they can live in, the worst parallel universe, the worst timeline. Or like a real hard one, or they don't, or it's just the best because, hey, shut up, man, this is the best. Like, it's a hard one, man. Tell me in the comments. Please like and subscribe. Whatever. Whitney Houston, love that lady. There can be miracles when you believe. Absolutely, that's true, but what does it mean? Crazy things that are unexpected, things that are technically a miracle, means an act of God, but let's take it from Whitney Houston, who's a crack smoker, perspective. That was mean. But let's take it from a person who would do crack for a long period of time and be fucking super rich and all that. There can be miracles when you believe. Yeah. It should say there can only be miracles when you believe in miracles. And it just means that something outlandish or something real intense or something amazing or grand or really positive or something that is a 1 in a billion chance could happen if you believe it could happen. But it could also happen if you don't believe it. I suppose it's more likely if you do believe it. How can you prove that? You can't. Because likelihood is based upon empirical data, whereas believe is fucking not. Yeah, look, the next one. By Albert Camus. Albert Camus. There is but one truly serious philosophical problem, and that is suicide. Absolutely! That is the smartest thing I ever heard this guy say. Also the first. But it's pretty intelligent. Let me explain to you what this means. There is but one truly serious philosophical problem, and that is suicide. There's other philosophical issues, but the reason this makes sense is because if you go by pure logic without any compassion, without any wisdom, without any just like, dude, I have to, I'm so tired, I have to go to sleep, and then you get up and you're like, oh, I have to go find food to live, oh, I have to find the water, I have to lug my body around in this gravity, it's so heavy. Like, logically, I gotta go to this job that I don't like to make money, to even pay for the food and then I have to meet a woman and do a bunch of things that I don't want to do for her to give me the things I need, like support and making me look good and sexual access and all the things women give us. And so the most logical solution is suicide. But see, it doesn't take into account, and this is the philosophical problem that he speaks, that there's only one truly of. There's many, but I get it. It means there's so much more to life that you don't like. Watching a sunset, like falling in love, like praying or meditating, like when you're just walking along and something wonderful happens, like those videos on YouTube that say restore faith in humanity, and like I watch like those all the time and I freaking cry. Like, how can I possibly commit suicide when there's such beauty and all you have to do is notice it? So I don't know if it's a philosophical problem. I kind of disagree, but I get it. There Are No Ordinary Moments by Dan Millman. Yes, there are. Yes, there are. There are so many ordinary moments. So I guess this means that every breath you take is special. Every moment means that the whole world. But there are ordinary moments, so yeah, but that's what it means. Philosophy, this is from Ludwig Wittgenstein again. Philosophy is a battle against the bewitchment of our intelligence by means of language. Philosophy is the battle against the bewitchment of our intelligence by means of language. Yes, this is great. So this is what this means. A lot of time, we know a lot of stuff compared to 1200s or, the 11th century or whatever. We know a lot more now. So our intelligence has grown. So since we know more now, we can obviously assume by that there's more stuff that we don't know. So we guess, we hypothesize, we do experiments, we do research. And that is our intelligence. So sometimes we get bewitched. Like, how can a black hole exist and it swallows up light, but light is not a physical, no, I'm just trying to be, like, there's certain, I'm bewitched by that, right? So philosophy is the battle against the confusion by talking it out. And you talk it out, someone's like, that was dumb, and you're like, oh shit, yeah, you're right, that was dumb. And then they talk, and you're like, that was dumb, and they're like, yeah, that's right. And then you talk, and they're like, that was good. And you're like, oh shit, what do you think about this? And like they add to it. So discussing, so communication, this means communication helps us learn more, helps us become better humans, helps us be a better thing. And that's number 16. I'm going to make a separate video for the rest because I feel like this is a lot of them. And I don't know how long it's been recording. So why doesn't it tell me like a time? Maybe I just don't have the thing that tells you how long. Anyways, that's it for this one. I'll catch you at the next one. Beefsteaky. Please like and subscribe if you made it all the way to the end of the video.